On this episode, we have Todd Dunkle, Hall of Fame baseball coach, and one hell of a bench presser, Tyler Treadway. What'd you
Hall
think?
of Fame lifting partner.
Yeah.
It was great. Thank you, Todd.
Mike?
Yeah, just good to hear I said it earlier, just there's something beautiful about a microphone. You know, we have a man of few words, and to put a mic on and actually hear him articulate some of his thoughts and what it's taken for him to be this successful is really fun.
It's awesome.
Man, you know, a guy like Todd's kind of the epitome of, you know, the ultimate competitor, still competing as a coach and as a lifter now. You got a lot of great insight in this one, for sure.
Yeah, one of my longest standing, lifting partners, super, unbelievably respectable coach, 30 years, two-sport athlete in D3. Like, there's a lot to unpack here, but if you are a coach, you are going to learn a lot today. Let's go to the show. Coach's Clinic Podcast. I'm your boy, Corey G. Our coaching staff, Mike Deegan, Tyler Treadway, Dustin Meyer, special guest, two-sport athlete in college, and been a high school baseball coach for, 20 years. How long, Todd?
30.
And my longest standing weightlifting partner, besides the other guy sitting beside him, Todd Dunkle. Welcome to the show.
Well, I would say Todd's really only your longest standing current weightlifting
That's what I'm
partner.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I really don't lift together much
No.
anymore, if hardly ever. So
But prior to that,
yes.
so you guys are probably about the same amount of time actually even up from the standpoint of actually training partners.
I might have to start jumping in with you once a
I
week.
know.
So you can't pass me.
So Todd, I know you're on the mic all the time. You excited to be here or what?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
Having another baseball guy. Look, I think that one, you're super humble. You hardly ever talk about the accomplishments in coaching, but there's so many young coaches that are listening to this show. So I think you have a lot to offer from, all different angles, from being a player, from being a coach, from still being with the team, still competing at age
53.
Exactly. Still in it every day, which I love. I mean, the guys got to love seeing that, right? I know you don't post on social very often, but
no, but I every once in a while we're in the weight room 3 days a week, so I every once in a while throw some weight down to
kind of let them know.
Just to let them know.
Just let them jingle 3 plates real quick on bench. Let them know what's up. So, man, I'm gonna throw it to some of the other guys to kind of start the questions, and then I'll swing back. Go ahead, Treadway.
Yeah, so what you didn't say was Todd's a Hall of Fame baseball
I was going to
coach.
wait for you to do that.
Yeah. So what's crazy is I get a message one Saturday morning, and it was after the announcement. It was on a Friday night at the ceremony, and it was from Kevin McFarland, and he was like, yo, Todd Dunkle got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and nobody had any idea. We literally trained together all week. Todd never said anything, didn't say a word about oh yeah, Friday I'm getting inducted, blah blah blah, nothing. So why are you so? I mean, if you're going in the Hall of Fame, wouldn't you tell somebody?
I would at least tell you guys,
right?
Wait, time out. So what Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
and
what?
for
Yeah,
what?
Todd,
I
give
need
us some
details.
feedback. Yeah.
I was inducted this year into the Central District Hall of Fame, and I'm just not big on talking about myself. There you got the talkers and you got the doers. Well, I'm a doer. I don't talk about it. I just.
Well, we get to talk about it now for you.
I think when you do it, that gives you the right to
talk about it. There you go,
That's
D.
the difference. People that are talkers, they never did it, so they shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You did it, so you're allowed to talk about it. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Well, they give it, I guess, accomplishments, or maybe even being there the longest. They figure they owe you something, but you
can't even give yourself a compliment.
I just I'm a doer, and I show up every day, just like lifting weights. You just keep showing up, and the more you show up, and the more you show people what it's all about, and you get kids to believe in the system, and they performed, and from their performance, that got me the accolade. Now, I just am a humble dude. I don't.
So talk about this. Just for, this idea of humility, right? Which is, I think it's critical to learn, to grow, all those types of things. You have that, obviously. How about from the other side of that? How do you translate that into confidence or arrogance? Does humility ever affect those types of things for you? Do you ever wish you had a little bit more confidence, a little bit more swagger, or are you good just the way you are?
I'm good the way I am. I mean, I'm
When
I'm
you were
confident.
a player, Todd, was it any different?
No, not really.
And you
I'm
played
confident.
football and baseball
Yeah,
at Capital,
at
right?
Capital.
Yeah.
I'm confident in my ability, and every year I'm wanting to learn more, and the more knowledge I can get, the better it is, and but baseball wise, we're pretty plain Jane. We just I got athletes, and we want them just to play. So I'm not a jump around type of guy. My team's not a jump around. We're very disciplined, and that's what I try and instill in these guys.
Mm-hmm. Did you start both sports?
Yes.
Deion Sanders. Let's go.
So what does it mean to you to be inducted into Hall of Fame? So I know you're gonna say, it doesn't mean whatever, but it has to mean something to you.
Well, it there's a lot of coaches that have been inducted that you get to stand beside now, and some Licking County guys like Don Thorpe, who at Lakewood, and he's a little bit on a higher class than me. He's been around longer, but it's very gratifying. But I my goal now is I want to be in the National High School Hall of
Hell
Fame.
yeah.
That's
what I like to hear.
But again, that's just through continuing to learn and coach and have players that are want to buy into the process, and by them performing, that makes me look good.
Yeah. What made you want to be a coach, Todd? Do you always know you wanted to be a coach?
No, like most, some college kids. I graduated with a degree in business administration and had no concept of really what I wanted to do with it. And I enjoyed coaching. I had already coached a couple years at Capital prior to graduation and in football, and then I was at my high school alma mater for 2 or 3 years coaching baseball, and I said, well, let's get into teaching. If teaching's going to help me become a coach and put me in a school system, then I went back and took another semester and got a teacher's license. And
What'd you teach, Todd?
I taught.
I never knew this part. This is amazing.
my first year of teaching, and again, I had a degree in business, and,
Sure.
but I taught biology.
Okay. This is so good.
I taught biology for 2 years, and finally was able to. A business slot opened up, and then I got into teaching business management and accounting and my forte, I guess. But
You've been my high school biology teacher. Would have been fucking amazing.
well, it was a classic.
Yeah.
I have to admit, because again, I was only 5 years older than the seniors.
Yeah,
and,
true.
And so there was a big learning curve there.
Yeah, you're leading people that are you're only one class ahead of them,
Right.
Basically, which would be tricky, I think. So when did you realize, like, all right, I'm not gonna be a teacher, I'm gonna do other business, and then continue to coach? Was there a transition shortly after that, or?
I was at Bishop Hartley for I think 7 years, and then actually my uncle passed away, and they asked me, family-owned business asked me to take his position, and which still allowed me to pursue coaching, because being able to not really come and go as I pleased, but have a little bit more options. So then I started working there and continued to coach.
Awesome. D?
Yeah, so let's kind of circle back, to your coaching style a little bit. As you've already talked about, and as we already know, you're a very humble guy. You're even though I don't know you very well, my impression of you has always been, you're just put your nose down and work, hard worker, blue collar mindset, and I'm sure that is kind of reflected in your coaching style. So, you talked about, you know, you have kids that come in, buy into your system, you're not a flashy team, this and that. But what happens when you get an athlete that is more of a, maybe has a lot of ability and likes to showboat? Maybe not like necessarily in a rude way or anything, but they got that swagger about them and they have the ability to back it up. How do you kind of rein that guy in without like really tramping down maybe that part of them that helps them be great?
Most kids nowadays are a little showboaty, and as long as my feeling is, as long as they're not disrespecting the game or disrespecting the opponent, to be a little flashy is kind of the norm now.
Yeah.
You know, you see guys that hit doubles and triples, and they got to do some antics on the base, and that's all. That's all well. Good.
I'm starting to notice that. Yeah.
You kind of, you know, but you got to let them have their thing. You got to, you know, because again, they're all different. As you know, every kid's different, and you don't want to make everybody a clone of what you think they should be. So, and my thing is, they're athletes. Let them be athletes. You know, we don't have 9,000 bunt coverages and pickoffs, and we standard bunt coverage, 1 or 2 open glove pickoffs, and let them play.
Play baseball.
Let them play, because the more, Coach, if you know, the more we try and coach, sometimes the worse it gets. So,
well, let me ask you this then. So now you recognize that's kind of part of the game now. The kids want to showboat a little bit more or whatever. But do you look at it differently if it's a kid that has ability as a playmaker versus the kid who's really not that good, who wants to still kind of act like that? Even if it's not being disrespectful, you know what I mean? Like, do you kind of want to tell that kid, like, hey, you need to, like, earn your stripes first before you have the right to do a Fortnite dance on second base or whatever?
well,
That's great.
lucky enough, upperclassmen kind of control that. They kind of
It's a locker room thing.
It's,
huh?
yeah, they let them. You let your upperclassmen do a lot of that, and they'll tell the guys, you know, hey, that's a little too much, or, you know, earn it. And when they're carrying the gear out as a freshman, it's, you know, you got to earn it. You know, before you can jump around.
Are you uncomfortable with that? Not that part. I'm saying with the dances, the celebration. Or does it make you cringe just at the touch, even though you let it go on now?
Yeah, like deep down. You kinda, like, I know this is what it is now, but man, like.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you got to, you know, players 15, 20 years ago in your coaching style, not that it's changed, but you got to adapt with the mentality of kids, and as long as it's not too boisterous and takes away from the game, then I'm cool. And you know, Coach, you're at Division III, and I have a son who plays at Hope College and been to a couple more Division III games. You guys are a lot more chirpier than I've recognized. There's a lot of more, you know. So you see, and the high school kids, they see that, and you know, they feed off of that. So it's the trickle down effect. But you know, you gotta enjoy it. You gotta let them be players and be kids. They're still young adults, and you gotta let them do.
The emotion. Like, I watched a perfect game last night we were talking about, and you know, Nemec's throwing gas and he's getting strikeouts blown by kids, and he's, you know, on the third strike of like the end of the inning, like, yes, they're barking in the damn dugout. Like, now Mount Vernon didn't like that a whole bunch, and at a point it got a little bit edgy because they knew they were coming up on something, but it was like the umpire's like, yo, calm these kids down a little bit, like they're barking and all kinds of shit, but it made for, like, it was more entertaining, but, you know, and there was real emotion. It was a real moment.
You know what's been interesting? I don't know if you guys saw the video of it was like a Texas JUCO. I don't know if you guys saw this, but guy hits a home run. And the video is always tough, right? 'Cause you get one little part of it, but he hits a home run. He's going around the bases. You can tell he's obviously talking. Well, you don't see this very often in baseball. The pitcher leaves the mound and form tackles him, and a brawl goes. Like,
so he must have been really talking.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like the Mike Tyson thing a little bit. Like, everyone's tough behind a mic, or everyone's tough behind, but until you get hit, right? So that's kind of what you're always guarding against as a coach, I think, is that, yeah, okay, everyone likes this little bit of showboating, but
There's an edge.
You also have to be aware that at some point someone may take it the wrong way. Someone may be from a different environment. Someone may be having a really bad day. And you may get your butt whooped on the,
And they're willing to get kicked out of school.
And so, like, when we play, there's a little different, right? So if someone did that as a teammate, you're barking at that person saying, don't do that, because you know why? If I'm up next, you're going to get a fastball in your ear hole, right? And so that person's antics just may have gotten me hurt or hit or whatever. So that's kind of gone away. So anyways, we're in this really weird space right now with all of that, where you are letting people celebrate a little bit more. Like, we don't, in our program, I don't allow our guys to chirp to the other team. Like, it has to be directed toward us, whatever. But not everyone follows that rule. But I guess what I'm trying to describe is that, okay, barking, it's fun, but it may spill over. And if it pops off, Dustin Myers, are you ready to roll?
Here's the way I look at everything in life, right? When we're driving down the road, we're driving down the highway. When you're driving down the highway, the only thing that's keeping all those cars separated from a pileup is some paint on the road. It's just an imaginary boundary that we put there.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in life.
This is deep.
No, it's, sure. So in the game, the only thing that's keeping that guy from getting tackled or for someone getting punched in the mouth is these imaginary lines we painted down that say, hey, we're not gonna cross them. But if you push someone, if you run your mouth or whatever, they might decide, hey, I'm not going to stay in my lane, because there's nothing forcing anyone to stay in your lane. When that guy was in Mike Tyson's ear on the plane, it wouldn't leave him alone. He thought he's going to stay in his lane because he's a celebrity and because he's not supposed to get out of his seat. Well, guess what? He pushed and pushed and pushed, and he got his ass whooped.
Right.
And I applaud it because
yes.
You can only do so much and not expect to get your ass kicked. So it's the same thing in the game. They think like, I'm safe because we're in a contest. There's referees. There's coaches. Well, that guy said too much, and guess what? He got tackled. I don't know what he said, but he probably deserved it.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what's interesting, right? Because then we have to be careful not to be the judge of that, right? Because as parent, as we could say whatever, like in Granville, they were just having fun. They were barking, whatever. But if the other person interprets that differently, who am I to say that we, you know what I mean? So you just have to be ready. If you're going to do that, and then when everyone gets all up in arms when it spills over, they go, oh my gosh, that why would he ever hit somebody? Why would he ever? Well, why were you running your mouth for 6 innings or 7 innings? So anyways, like sometimes the game used to police itself a little bit more, but we've gotten away from that. Same thing in hockey. Everyone wants to get rid of the fights in hockey, but if you actually talk to hockey players, they say that's where the safety comes, because you know
it can go down.
You don't do that to the star player because then you're going to get So anyways, I think that's what's interesting is that everyone gets up in arm about physicality, but everyone thinks it's okay to do this, and I don't know what that pain on the road is. You know what I mean? And you're leaving it up for interpretation if you go down that route a touch.
You ever have a brawl spill out, Todd, either as a player or as a coach?
Not a full-fledged brawl. We've had meetings on the
field.
On the field.
A lot of holding people back. A lot of holding
but
back.
Again, it's you can only stay in your lane for so long, and these are young men, and there's a lot of testosterone rolling. And you talk about the kid from Granville flexing on the mound.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Act like you've been there, done it before. That's your role.
Yeah, you're supposed to strike the kid out.
What if you flex to your team?
That's what he did. He actually flexed to his own dugout.
What if you're giving your guys?
Well,
then
that's fine. There's a difference between flexing and to your teammates or whatever,
or flexing on
showing
somebody.
up.
Yeah, it was like strike 3 and then at the dugout, the dugout's going crazy.
The guy that you just struck out or whatever. We ended the game last night against a team and we had runners on first and second with 2 outs, and we're down 3, and our kid hits the ball right back to the pitcher, and he fields it and shows it to our dugout. Ooh. And then throws over to first, and I'm probably the only guy that really saw that. And,
but you saw it.
I saw it. And,
so what'd you do?
At that point, it's game's over, and he's a young man. He's, you know.
Did you point it out to the kids?
No, I just let it go because I don't really know if anybody really paid much attention to it. But again, I saw it and I knew what I felt at that point, you know.
See,
as a coach, stay in my lane because it was, you know.
What I love about this conversation is I think you can hear the internal dilemma that we have is because you have a choice all the time to jump or not jump. You could jump there or not jump, right? You could, you know, do I let them celebrate a little bit more emotionally with their teammates, or do I suppress it a little bit? Do the other teams chirping us now, do I let our guys chirp back a touch? You know, it's all these things. It's so much more than just the game. Because I think you said something earlier that I really admire is one, that you have to respect the game. I mean, the game's bigger than all of us, right? Like I tell our guys all the time that if any one of us decide to stop playing, like Denison baseball will go on.
Yes,
right? Like
still gonna play.
We're still good, right? Like Major League Baseball is going off tonight, whether or not, you know, I'm involved or not. So the game has to be at the if we respect the game, I think that's so important. But you also want to move and shake with the times and give people a little bit more freedom. And gosh, it's a dilemma, right? It's just an internal struggle that we all battle.
You have any brawls?
Now, getting a basketball brawl in high school was the coolest moment of my life. I was.
Please tell the story, Coach.
We had it was a summer league game, and we had won, and we were up pretty big, and we were out. Starters were out of the game, and anyways, we go through the handshake. This is a pretty cool story because it kind of comes full circle. So we're going through the handshake line, and this guy, and no exaggeration, they get bigger over the years, right? It's like your fishing stories. But he was 6'7", like big guy, ended up going to Pitt to play football. He goes, "Look what you did to my neck." And he had
talking to you?
Yeah. He had a big scratch across his neck. And I was like, oh, you know, whatever. He goes, "Look what you did to my neck." He goes, "I'm going to do it to you." And he grabs me by the throat. and next thing you know, we're going, like we're rolling. And we had some guys on our team. Yeah. And one of my friends tackles us from the side. And next thing you know, we're on the ground, and another friend of mine's over top just digging on him. And his brother came out of the stand and played basketball at Maryland, came out of the stands. He's fighting. But here's the coolest part of the story. So they wanted me to – I was like, I'm not apologizing. I thought I was going to get kicked out of this camp, whatever. So the fight happens. So years later, he's now the head football coach at my high school, the crosstown team.
Yeah.
And so from where I grew up. So anyways, a friend of mine was at a party with him, and I said, ask him what happened that day. And he said, ask him why he scratched my neck. And we got a big laugh about it. So my point is sometimes these moments, like I don't know, like a brawl's never good. I'm not saying that, but it's not sometimes as big as people make it out to be too. Like we got to laugh. I got a great memory out of it. We got a good chuckle out of it now. I don't know. It's all good.
But now someone might get shot over that.
Yeah,
I mean, times are different. Times are different for sure.
And I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying it wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
well, and it's not really because look, years later, you guys were able to laugh about it.
Yeah.
I think, you know, and I hate to be one of those guys that say, "Oh, well, back in our day, it was different," or you know, but I think when actual fist fights were more common back in the day, then people realized it wasn't as big of a deal. Now, people are more likely to get hurt or shot over something that really isn't that big of a deal because they're not used to that physical confrontation. You know what I mean? There's that fear of like, you know, I've never been punched before, or what happens if I get beat up, or what happens to my reputation if I get, you know, punked in front of these people, and they just feel like they can't take it, and it goes to that next level that it should never go to. Instead of just, hey, it is what it is. We got into a fight years later. We can laugh about it, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, because kids don't fight anymore.
No, I don't know if you remember we had that Beaver Local brawl.
Oh
with
yeah.
Anwa.
I was waiting for you to bring this up.
Yeah. So we had it. So Anwa went to dunk the basketball and got bridged, like where they undercut him and the dude threw a racial slur at him, and it was just.
Give the context, time, place.
Oh, it's 1997. I mean,
only black kid on the team.
It's the only black kid on the team. It's like, you know, another country school. We're whooping on him. And he high jumped 6'10" at Youngstown.
Wow.
And he's 6'2". He can get up. He goes up, kid undercuts him and just says, you know, throws the N-word at him. And he just immediately gets up and starts swinging. So that's what happens. It's on, right? Mm-hmm. So before I know it, my assistant coach, I look over, who's our lifting coach, Coach Hoover, who taught us how to lift, is got one parent by the fucking neck, another parent by the. I mean, it starts spilling over.
This was like the stands.
The stands cleared because it was on some like heavy, you know, stuff, and basically they had to quit. They had to stop the game. Everything. It was one of the craziest melees I've ever been in. But what was awesome was to see how everybody rallied, because we heard that, we're like, come on now.
That's
Like,
our
it was,
buddy.
it was,
That's our
oh
boy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was on. But it was kind of like the chaos of a moment like that where it's complete melee is how it ends up being real bad real quick, to Dustin's point. But at that point, like, there was no thoughts.
No.
That was the line that, no matter, you can never cross. And it was crossed, and there was like, Onwa literally got up and was like, it's hope my homies are backing me up.
Yeah.
So but that was, I don't know if you were you there for that, D?
No, because we had the OVAC wrestling tournament the same weekend. But it was one of the things we missed. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like a legendary event.
I have a couple pictures from a throwaway camera that I found the other day from it, and just everyone looks stressed out, and there's just people everywhere. It was pretty wild, but anyway.
That's something that happened in today's world will be all over social media.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Well, in the aftermath that I remember, maybe a week or two later, there was an anonymous letter that came to our school with a bunch of racial stuff in it. It was threatening, and it was one of those ones like where someone cut the
cut it
words
out.
out of magazines to spell it out, like a threatening letter they sent to the school.
Yeah, that was a wild experience.
It is just different too. Just in general, you think of like you see those films of. I just saw one of Larry Bird and fighting Dennis Rodman, and like NBA used to be a lot more physical.
Oh, yeah.
You would see, and now what made me think of that is how it would be all over social media. Now, if there's a pushing match in a basketball game, it's
People,
front and
it's a
center.
big
It's
deal.
but now, I mean, you see those. I mean, they were swinging on each other.
Oh, the Bill Lambier
Yeah.
like era there. Those guys were legit fighting.
Like legit fighting,
Yeah.
like going at it. Right now, it's you see someone push and it's going to be on SportsCenter 75 times and all that.
So is
stuff.
that better or worse?
That's what I was saying about the hockey thing. I think in baseball, like sometimes policing of itself is a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit better. It's a little healthier. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to come off saying I promote the violence
Kids
of it.
throwing
all.
in chin
Yeah,
music.
Yeah. But there is. I'll go. I love Dustin's analogy. A minute ago, I do think there's these lines they're imaginary, and we don't get to determine what those lines are. And if someone goes to that level, then you have to get there. And I think that's maybe now more than ever, some of those lines are a little bit blurry.
Yeah. Todd, I want you to talk about this. Obviously, you're in the crew in the morning. You've been at the gym for a long time. Like, you obviously have been in coaching and been around a team and been a leader of a team. You're part of a team here with the 4 a.m. crew at Old School too. And, you're coaching a lot of the younger guys. Sometimes you've received coaching from me or some of the other guys. Like, Mike talks about this a lot. Talk about getting coached, whether it's mentors or it's been in the gym or even just like how you got here and how you kind of stayed around for all these years, because you've been here for like a decade now, and like what drew you to stay in this type of environment, like what it means to you, just all that kind of stuff.
Well, when you're an athlete, and you want that competition and you want that adrenaline rush that you get it, and as we
That you
get
used
older,
to get on the field.
that you got on the field. Well, as you get older, it's not there, and I get that from weightlifting. I get that from the group of guys coming in here and the camaraderie and the brotherhood. The brotherhood is big in my eyes.
For sure.
Because, we might not always get along in here, but don't somebody walk in here and say anything, because then it's on. You know what I mean? Because and again, it's
That's like any team.
and that's what we and that's what we preach. And that's what I preach with my guys. We're a family. We're a family, and we're not always going to get along, but we're going to do what we need to do. And so that draws me into this, in coming in here at 4:00, 4:10 maybe. But but again, I'm up early enough to get here at 4. But by the time I look at my phone and I check the weather and I look at, you start thinking about your
Your day.
your day, and no offense, many of these guys in here have that type of responsibility, but it's driven in me now. I actually get anxiety if I don't come in, and like I said, I got 2 hours of sleep Monday night, and got up and it said I got to get there. Well, I got halfway here and said this is not working, and turned around.
I love that. I love the fact that he got in the car.
He tried.
And what kept driving me to get here was the anxiety of not seeing my brothers. And again, it wasn't really not getting the lifting. It was not seeing the brothers that I work out with and I work with 5 days a week. And you know, as a coach, you want to instill that into your ball team of of brotherhood and wanting to be together. And again, for that 2 hours and giving it everything you have. And so as far as learning from other coaches, I'm a big believer in you always have to keep learning, because if you're not working at getting better, somebody else is.
That's a fact.
And if you're not willing to work just as hard, if not harder, than the next guy, then you're going to get beat. So, and again, we want to translate that to the players and to the younger guys that you know, to work harder because somebody else is. And so as far as, you know, I don't have any degree in any type of physical education or working or workouts or how to lift, but you just kind of watch people, and you know when there might be a little bit of a flaw or hitch in a swing, or you know what I mean. So you just kind of give them a little bit of point of view, and they can take it or leave it, but.
You always say it like that too. Well, or he came up to me before my 655 squat, that record I took, and you said, what'd you say to me? You said something like, "Hey, you need to bring what I know. You need to bring. Basically, you need to feed the stereotype maniac on this one." That's basically what he said to me. Like, I wasn't all fired up because the 6'11" wasn't anything that difficult, and he was like, "You need to bring it, G, on this one."
He
like
was
how
loose.
I see.
He wasn't. Core. You could see it just wasn't core tight, and if he was going to get this, he had to do everything right.
Yeah, and just like be basically a wild man. That's basically what I got from it. I was back there in the corner just getting fired up, and he said, "You need to do what you do on this one." You see what I'm saying? Like, basically, like, bring the juice, G. So I like those little subtle things from Todd, which is really good. I think also the team, the locker room, practice time, 4 a.m., the meets. You know what I mean? Even if you always compete about once a year, but still it puts you on so-called the platform display, the showtime, and you have to be there for it. Sometimes he leaves early because he has like a family event or so. One time he had an amazing meet going, squats, something crazy, 550 or whatever, benches, and he goes, "Family reunion. Can't even stay for deadlifts." So like,
I love that.
That's what we get. But it's amazing.
But that's someone who's committed to the team. And doing it, and also
he's there wrapping knees. He was there helping out as a coach.
But I got a family. But I got a family as well. So I'm gonna try to get both of them in. Hey, so you mentioned the high of an athlete. Like, you missed that. Can you describe the difference between the high of a big game coaching versus now the high of a weightlifting meet or whatever? Is there a difference for you? Because I feel like sometimes we get into coaching because you get a little bit of that. It's not the same as being an athlete, but you get a little. Do you not see it as the same as when you're competing yourself?
Some, because as a coach, when you get into those tournament mentality or your big games, league games, then you're trying to instill calm amongst your guys, even though your heartbeat is racing and your brain is going 90 mile an hour because you're trying to think of every scenario that you could in coaching, but you want to instill calmness so they just play and relax.
How do you do that?
Well, I just
be me,
because again,
nothing changes
because again, I just I'm not a jump around type of guy, and I don't I'm not a yell and screaming type of coach. I think coaches can overdo that some, and then it doesn't mean anything to the players. So there's a time and place where to get loud, and and you just if you can remain calm and show that this is normal to these guys, then they play normal. In meets, you kind of try and stay calm, for the most part, because again, you don't want to lose that juice too early, and then you gotta. There's a switch where you got to flick it on, and now it's showtime. Now you're, and that's the switch that I love. That's where
you can't mimic it any other way.
Yeah,
Todd.
that's that. You don't, because now
Do you have something for that? Do you have a signal? Like, do you do something to get into that mode? Maybe a little peek behind the curtain.
No, I don't. I just.
What are you thinking when you walk up to a big weight, Todd? I mean, I think to myself, don't be a bitch ass hoe.
Well.
If you don't want, you can't say that. I said it for you.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's it. Don't be a bitch. It's just.
You like that test?
I love that test because again, now it's flipping that switch and it's not that you're afraid of failure. It's that you want to. You just don't want to be a bitch. You want to give it all you got, and you want to be perfect form, perfect everything, because that's how
show up when you're supposed to show
up and go. And to me, it's your mind that limits you.
Facts.
Because your body won't quit. Your body won't quit if you keep your mind going, because your mind wants to shut it down when it thinks that it's in a fear failure type of mode. So my thing is, and again, it's don't let your mind make you quit, because your body will do it.
That's why we got smelling salts, Todd.
Yeah. But again, I'm not a big fan of smelling salts. My fear is to sniff, get a good whiff of smelling salts and end up on my back and not even be able to go up there and compete. So, to me, I'm not. It's like all the gimmicks they got in baseball now. They got to wear a glove and they got the arm here, and just go up there and fucking play. Just go do it.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Treadway?
So Todd is like the least hype man ever. because but when he's standing there, it's like, fuck, I got to bring it. Like, Todd's watching me.
Because he's OG, bro.
He commands respect just with his presence.
Yeah.
Well, but if you stay calm amongst us while we're competing, and again, like you said, I don't really say a lot, but I walked up and said, hey, let's go. Let's that to me,
Time to switch it on,
I got
G.
something to say, then it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd was sorry to cut you off. Go ahead and finish.
No, I'm good.
So Todd was spotting me today on squat, and I was like, "Fuck!" Todd's like taking time out of his workout to come spot me.
Yep.
And he goes, "Are you ready to go?" And I was like, I'm gonna wait. He goes, "Are you ready to go?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm
Okay,
ready to
ready
go."
to go.
so I go up and squat it, and he's like spotting me. I was like, "Fuck!" Like, Todd's here. Like, he should be over there spotting, but he's spotting me. So I was just gonna take 500 for a single, so I hit it for a double because
There you
Todd was
go.
spotting me. So I was like, well, if he's gonna take time out of his day. But it's like that respect, Todd didn't have to say anything.
Don't
like,
waste the rap. That's
the
big
biggest
mentality.
exactly.
If Todd is going to take time to get on his knee and wrap my knees for this, I got to do him as my teammate and OG of the group a service and make this weight. Because if I'm taking it like a little bitch and he spent his time, then that's like a reflection of me wasting his time. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and going back to your lift today, and you got that. You got the bar loaded up with all the bumper plates, and there's only about 2 inches of the bar sticking out.
Yeah.
And no offense, Treadway, but we didn't have anything to hold anyway. So it was going to be you, or you're going to end up dumping it because
There's no there.
But I want to talk about. So you said you started coaching and really early, and it reminds me of like myself. So I'm assuming when you started coaching, you were probably like, they thought of you as like a big brother, a mentor they could look up to because they can relate to you. But now you're older, you've taken a different figure. Like, you're no longer somebody that they say, oh, he's just a few years older than me. Now you're 53 coaching high school kids. What does that evolution look like?
I don't know if again, the mentality is that you have to elevate yourself, and you have to command respect. And if you don't command respect on day one of whatever you're doing, then you'll never have it. So, and again, commanding respect to me is by what you do more than what you say.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a leader, you're the first one through the door. You're there before anybody else is there. You're demonstrating what needs to be done and the way you want it to be done. And that I've kind of lived by that from day one. And again, when I was younger, I worked on my own field. I made sure our field looked great, and I still hang my hat on that.
Mm-hmm.
Your presentation is the first thing everybody sees, and if your field looks good, if your guys look good, then you're gonna play good.
Yeah.
And
Deion Sanders.
Deion,
I'm
look-
telling you, this is it. D3, it's a D3 Deion. I'm telling you. Hey, what Tom Ryan say about if you could follow me around, I don't have to tell you anything. What did he say? He said something like that.
Yeah,
didn't he?
so I think it was Kyle that said it.
Or Kyle Snyder, yeah.
Yeah, he said if someone could follow you around for 24 hours and you couldn't speak, would they be able to guess what your goals in life are without you telling them? And he said this the year that he won the Olympics leading up to it. And he said, if someone were to follow me around, without me speaking, they'll be able to know that my goal is to be an Olympic champion. So it's kind of that old thing of like, how you do everything, or how you do anything is how you do everything. Everything should kind of align in your life with whatever your goals are. So if you guys want to be a championship team, then yeah, of course you should take care of your field. Your players should, take the equipment off and whatever else it is. I don't even know what they do in baseball, but
But it just goes to show it's like the level of operation.
Correct.
So your expectation of the way you operate, and then the guys follow suit. But if you're not operating like that, it's like smoking cigarettes and telling somebody don't smoke. Like you know what I mean? You got to lead by example. I think it's a huge key. That's why I think is a major component, even though maybe you're not showcasing it all the time, but the fact that you can jump in with those kids, with the weight room, I think is huge. I think it's super valuable, Todd. Like maybe even more than you realize sometimes. Because they can say like, wait a second, Coach ain't no slouch. He's in there. There's no way any of them kids are stronger than you.
no,
No.
no.
Now that was the most unhumble thing. It was just the truth.
Well,
No gray area there.
No gray area there.
No paint on the road.
Hey, we got to pull that clip. That's the one I want. No. So good. I just think that's a huge key. Like, dude, I come out here and I see the way Coach is looking right now. I guarantee them kids are like, oh, his arms looking a little bigger this time. Deegan, okay, like they notice that stuff because at the end of the day, that's part of leading by example. Mm-hmm. And so I think that stuff is some of these old guys, and they just like letting themselves go, and they don't need to be in there like hammering it with the guys. But I just think that there's a little bit more respect. Me and Dustin have always led that way. I think there's a little bit more respect at you guys because of the way that you guys are operating. Especially you still competing, even just a little bit, Todd. I think that's a lot, dude. So.
What the lifting actually, and again, back even maybe when you guys we're not that far apart,
No.
but
Yeah, we are.
You didn't
About
really
10.
lift. You didn't really
Yeah.
lift. Game days or whatnot, or squat every day. I wasn't even heard about. Who does that? You got to rest your body. Well, now the thing is, get in the weight room. There's teams that lift prior to even going out and competing that day, and
Wow.
and it's
evolved a lot.
It has.
You're seeing a lot of they're showing teams in Omaha. So in June, like the last part of the season, the old philosophy used to be you get strong, and then you're going to wilt away. But the stronger you are to start, you're going to at least have something at the end. Well, now they're showing guys hitting PRs in Omaha. Like at the end of the year, they're getting their best squat, best deadlift, or whatever.
I'm starting to believe that's where it is.
That's right. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
But
that's the evolution of it, isn't it?
It is, and that's how, like I said, the being in the weight room is you always had your 4 or 5 guys that lived in there, but now it's, again, the team wants to be in there, and they want to be in there as often as they can get because they can see and smell what that success is. Well, and again,
that helps
the weight
even
room
more, I think,
and being
Todd.
successful in the weight room, that just elevates your mentality. You walk around a little bit bigger
different.
balls
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And again, you want to be able to, as a coach, you want your players to walk up to that imaginary line and be ready to go because they got to have some nastiness to them. And again, you can get that in the weight room in that competition. And
That's why a little hooting and a hollering in the weight room's needed. I mean, I see a lot of these, all colleges, they're pretty looking, but you ain't moving some weight. That's why when I went to Ohio State baseball, they have the dungeon weight room, and then they got the real pretty weight room. They got the one that's by the boiler room, like under the stadium, and that's where the kids like to train. The other one's really for the recruits.
Right.
But Schlegel used to train in that one in the dungeon. Like it's, you know what I mean? I think that there has to be a bit of griminess to
Spartan
it.
mentality,
yeah,
right?
man.
Yeah.
I just think that's part of it, right?
Well, yeah, because the people that are going to the dungeon are the people that are they live in it.
Yeah,
they want to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't need to look in the mirror and see what their bicep or what looks,
Confidence is there.
Yeah, because you're going into the dungeon and just like old school. I mean, there's not a lot of frills.
On purpose.
There's you don't got a lot of bikes and a lot of
just
fancy,
the one Dustin needs some time to like damn near kill himself.
We got.
And we do still have a mirror to flex our biceps.
Yes.
we do.
Hey, and Todd's always got his shirt off, so let's not get that twisted. Trey can make a whole picture book of Todd with his shirt off. It'd be amazing.
Yeah,
So if you're one of Todd's athletes and you're listening right now, don't get it confused. Todd's in here flexing
Absolutely.
in the mirror every day.
Well, gentlemen, I guess when you get older, my goal is just to make sure my chest sticks out farther than my belly.
Than your stomach. Todd, where do you go from here? Right, you said your goal is to be in the National Hall of Fame. You've been coaching for a really long time. Is it like, are they going to have to pull you out of that dugout? Is this something you in the foreseeable future? You're a long tenure, like you just. I always say this about lifting too. Like I just still love it so much. I mean, I think about it as soon as I wake up. I can't wait to get here. Until that day, just like any athlete or any profession, I don't want to do it anymore. But in the foreseeable future, I don't see that, right? Is that kind of how you feel about coaching too? It's like you could be a 75, 80-year-old dude still doing this?
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody runs their gamut. And everybody, eventually, you're going to have to walk away from it. And again, you could walk away for many reasons.
Yeah.
Family,
All right, we had some technical difficulties. Kyle's screen basically decided to turn off, but we still got the podcast. We're in luck because you're dropping some fire over here. I know you said you were humble, but man, I'm hearing a little bit of the swag come out, which is good, Coach. It's real good. But look, I want to wrap it up. A couple things here. Todd, talk to people about things that you've, I know you talked about the basic things you're instilling into the guys with consistency, with running up against the line. What's a couple of things maybe you didn't touch on that is really important about your program and the way you coach?
Yeah, we touched on a lot. I mean, again, I'm big on family. I'm big on family comes first, and baseball will always be baseball, but baseball can't be the number one thing in your life. It can be the number one thing in your life at
that
game
moment.
time, at practice. But once you're done, then you need to still. And again, I tell them every night, eat good, get plenty of rest, and your studies, because that's more important. And for life goals is your academics. But what they learn between the lines and how to act between the lines is going to take them further down the road. You have to have a little nastiness, in the workforce and wanting to get what you want, but you still have to be humble and willing to work. So again, I preach on a process. And again, how do you define the process? Well, there's a process in everything in weightlifting. There's everything you do. There's a process in, you just don't throw 345 or 315 on the bar and go at it. There's a process on getting there, and there's a process in your studies and your home. I mean, everything has a process, and if you're willing to start from the bottom and work to the top, then you'll get there.
I like the family thing, man. I think we all need reminded of that, Todd.
Well,
I think every coach listening, I think we all here, because we're all so serious about what we do.
Well, and again, Coach Deegan, I mean, my wife is very important. I mean, she and as probably your wife, she runs the show right now. I mean, she's got, we still have 2 young kids and a daughter that dances and a son that goes to middle school baseball, and then he's playing travel baseball, and we're of no use. So
That's right.
Other than maybe pick up food on your way home. I mean, at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, people talk about eating, meals at 5, 6.
That ain't
If I ate
happening
at
for
5
you.
or 6 o'clock, I'd be eating again at 9 o'clock because I'd be, we're
Yeah.
hungry. But again, you have to have that support system.
No doubt.
And again, no matter what you do, in the weight room, I mean, the support system that you have, and the guys that pick you up when you need help, and so again, that's all about that family mentality. You gotta, I live by it. I'll be honest. That's the only way I know. I was brought up that way. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and I don't know, 13 nieces and nephews, and we have dinner every Sunday.
Yeah,
At
I
somebody's
love
house
that.
every Sunday, and a lot of people don't understand that. How can you spend? Well, that's how I lived, and
Every Sunday.
was brought every Sunday.
I like that.
And again, there are commitments that some people can't be there or whatnot, but somebody, either my parents or one of my sisters or myself, somebody is having dinner, and
whoever can make it can make it.
and whoever can make it, and bring friends.
Yeah,
So.
Man,
I like that.
love it.
That's really cool. I think that's a great place. You guys got anything else?
Good.
It's great, Todd. I'm gonna. What's your social handle, Todd? No.
Dunk-
Okay.
Dunky Dunk.
Yeah.
And
Give him a follow.
I don't even know how I got that, to be honest. So.
He probably even got a profile picture up.
He's got the egg.
It's so good. All right, Coach's Clinic Podcast. I'm your boy Corey G, Coach Mike Deegan, Coach Tyler Treadway, Coach Dustin Myers, and it's awesome to have Coach Todd Dunkle. We are out.